I'm very happy to be here. I'm honored to be here. Sid mentioned my experiences as ambassador in Congo, Kinshasa. Sweden did a lot of good work with and through the UNFPA, not least in Eastern DRC. So in that way, standing before you here today is a bit of a homecoming experience for me. Now, in all countries, governments come and go. Our government of 2 months called for a snap election on the 22nd of March in Sweden. It called for that yesterday, but I can assure you that friendship with and solidarity with the UN system is and will remain a cornerstone of Swedish foreign policy. And I am proud to be able to say that I represent a country that is perhaps not the biggest country in Europe, but despite that, we're the 4th largest donor of humanitarian aid globally. And we're also the 6th largest provider of assessed and voluntary contributions to the UN system. And I'm particularly happy to know that UNFPA is no exception in this regard. So we were last year the 2nd largest donor to UNFPA, both in terms of core support as well as co-financing. And so it's about close to, I believe, 20% of UNFPA's budget, and this year, 2014, Sweden increases its core support to UNFPA to 65 million US. But I think starting out, it's exceedingly important to recognize linkages between gender equality in general and gender-based violence. Societies that are characterized, hello Paula, by gross gender inequalities are invariably also characterized by high prevalence of gender-based violence. So consequently, fighting against gender-based violence is something that goes hand in glove with working for gender equality. And given that gender-based violence is one of many symptoms of oppressive gender structures, it's not surprising that virtually all countries, and my own country, Sweden, is certainly one of them, face this challenge. It is exactly what Sid said, that these are challenges that we're all facing together in all our respective countries. And even though we Swedes we tend to pride ourselves on the fact that we are time and time again labeled one of the most gender equal societies in the world, we have something like close to 30,000 cases of domestic violence reported to the Swedish police every year. So issues such as domestic homicide, rape, sexual abuse, very, very real problems also in Sweden. But what experience has taught us is that learning how to tackle issues related to gender-based violence, that's not something you can do in isolation, just looking inward. For us, it's been very much a continuous learning process where experiences from other countries, other continents has been and it remains crucial. And a fundamental lesson is also that if you want to combat gender-based violence, you have to have a holistic approach to prevention. And prevention requires changes in behavior and attitude, and particularly, of course, by men and boys, since 95% or so of cases of gender-based violence are perpetrated by men. But here I would hasten to add that something is frequently forgotten, and that's something we saw not least in Congo DRC, is that not all the victims of gender-based violence are women and girls. In Congo, we also saw quite frequently cases of boys and men being subjected to gender-based violence as well. So let me be very, very clear on that one particular point, that gender-based violence must never, in any culture, in any country, be considered a private matter. And this is fundamental for understanding and combating gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is anywhere in the world a deeply political matter, and it has to be addressed as a political matter by both government and by civil society. And personally, I would go as far as saying that it's questionable, in a way, to consider countries with high levels of gender-based violence as countries truly at peace. If you look at the 2008-2009 demographic and health survey in Kenya, it found that a stunning 45% of all Kenyan women between the ages of 15 and 49 had experienced acts of physical or sexual violence. And the vast majority of them from men living close to them, i.e. mostly by their husbands and by their partners. And this violence, and now of course Kenya is an example, there are other countries where you see similar statistics, it speaks loudly to the